Welcome to Island Gem Presents the Spiderweb Pendant. This is part one of a two-part series. In this video, we will be making the web. Here is a list of the materials and tools that I used to make this pendant. Feel free to pause at any moment to catch up, as we have done some speeding up of the video. We're going to take the 16 gauge, which is the thick wire, and form it around what we have, which is just a bottle of hand sanitizer. You're going to make a loop at the top to hang a jump ring off of so that it sits flat when put on the cord. We're using round nose pliers. Making a slightly larger loop, we're going a little bit further down than half. On the other side, we will be looping in the opposite direction. This is mainly to hide the end of the wire so that it does not snag on things when it's being worn. The key to jewelry is always to sort of hide the pokey parts so that they don't ruin our clothes as we're wearing them. Next, we are going to use a mallet, and we are going to hammer the frame. This will harden the metal, compressing the molecules to make it more stiff and less likely to bend shape. We'll also be using a hammer to give it a little bit more of a flat edge. A mallet will not change the shape of the wire, but a hammer will. We are using a bench pin here. Now we are going to take our 24 gauge, we're going to fold them in half and give them a little loop and put them on the frame. You're going to do this with all three pieces, using chain nose to pinch them together and keep them as a tighter wrap. Okay. Second piece. I'm not making them completely in half. I'm making one side a little bit shorter than the other. That will allow the longer side to be used as a wrap, and they will be closer to the same length. Again, pinching it to make it tighter. And the last piece. If you find that your wraps are quite loose and you want them tighter, oftentimes you can use the pliers to sort of pinch and turn the wire to gently shape it closer, and this will tighten up your wraps. Alright, we're going to take one set, the first set on the left, and we're going to actually wrap it around the other two to collect them all into one for this design. This allows us to make the base threads more symmetrical and secured together, which makes it infinitely easier. Now we're going to separate them out and sort of position them where we want them. Now we want to tighten them up, but we don't want to get to a point where we're distorting the frame, as right now the frame is still open. But we do want to make sure that we wrap them all so the wire is straight. Because the wire is so long, I'm doing as much of this by hand, and then I will come in with pliers to tighten it up and secure them properly. The chain nose pliers make for an easier way of saving your fingers if you're struggling or your hands are getting sore. Sorry, I'm still getting used to having a camera in front of me as I'm doing this. Sometimes I find it very difficult to see, so it ends up going off camera for a second, and for that I apologize. Again, we're doing a gentle pinch and turn on these just to tighten up the wraps. So make the wraps far more uniform, and it will actually tighten up the base wires as well, little bits at a time. Alright, we're going to take the ends and wrap them around each individual base wire just to secure them. That way they do not unfurl during the rest of this process. So anytime you put tension on or press against the wire, that has a possibility. So once they've been wrapped around the frame, we're going to bring them up and wrap them around the ends around the original wires. Again, the chain nose are far smaller than my fingers, and it makes it infinitely easier to wrap them around to create that little coil. Okay. And we're going to do that to all of them. Then we are going to take the larger piece of 26 gauge wire, and we're going to start at the top. And again, we're going to secure it with wrapping it around the frame a couple of times, and then taking the little end tail and wrapping it around. This is sort of a basic wrap. Once we get that secured, we will do a couple of levels of threading over the base wires. The more you work with any wire, the stiffer it will get. So just be aware of that. And the thinner the wire is, if you kink it, the more likely it is to snap. Again, with all of this, you are work hardening the wire as you go. So just be aware that if you are if you're threading it and you get a kink in it, kind of like the kink in a hose, what's going to happen is it's definitely going to create a weak spot. So we just want to be very careful when we're threading through that we're not kinking it. Again, I have sped this up just to keep the video quick. So I'm passing over each individual base wire, looping around it once, and then continuing on to the next base wire. When I get to the end frame, I will loop around that frame twice before making my way back across, and I will do this a couple of times. Anytime that I feel that the coil looks a little too far apart, then I just use the chain nose pliers to bring those wires closer together and make it far more uniform. These are flat nose pliers, or nylon jawed flat nose pliers. They're also known as dewonkifiers. If you find that your wire is getting super bended, I guess would be the word, and you want it smoother, these make a great smoother. They're definitely optional. You can also use things like a wooden dowel or a piece of plastic to do the same job. Alright, again we're going to secure on this side with 2 wraps before going back across again. Being very aware of the tension that you're putting on this, because you do not want to pull all the base wires out of position. Again, I apologize that sometimes this is done where I can see it and you can't. I'm still working on that. So I've just secured it with a couple of wraps and then wrapped around the wire just to, now I'm just shaping them in a more rounded fashion to make it look more like a spider web. Just using the wires themselves to just clean up the look of it. We're using some liver of sulfur. It's a natural oxidizer. A couple drops put in, and then some hot water. And this will darken the web and make it more, I guess, black. Black is what we're personally going for. You don't have to go as dark as that. It's going to take a couple of minutes, although I do believe I've sped this up. Copper and silver are definitely darken up a lot quicker. For brass, you need boiling water for it to happen, because the zinc in the brass, which is brass is copper and zinc, the zinc definitely stops it from getting as dark as quick. I'm just going to rinse it off. Liver of sulfur is quite stinky. It smells like rotten eggs. Because it's a natural product, it will not last for more than a couple of minutes. So yeah, there you go. That is the web. Thank you for watching our video. We hope it was informative and useful, and will help you create more fun things in the future.